Hi. So this is quite hard to admit. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. That shouldn't be hard to admit because it's perfectly acceptable. And when other people are struggling with that, I'm like, that's okay. You don't have to know what you're doing. But when it's yourself, it feels like this massive, overwhelming thing. Part of the reason why I found it so hard to get back into YouTube recently and over the past few years is that I've just changed so much over the past few years. When I was last making YouTube videos regularly, I not only looked significantly different, I also thought I knew things, which is fair because I was quite a clever kid, right? I got things fairly easily, and I spent a lot of time throughout my teenage years learning a lot about like self-expression and all this stuff to do with like self-discovery and all that stuff that you usually go through when you're a teenager or in your early adult years. And so there was some things that I got to grips with really easily, and so I was like, oh, I want to make videos about this so that I can share this with other people who haven't quite figured it out yet. And that's kind of what my YouTube channel became for a long time, was just me being like, hey, I figured this thing out. I want to share this with you, it's really exciting. But then it got to a point where I had gone through a huge amount of changes in my life because I'd just gone to university. And I didn't feel like I knew what I was doing at all. Like, there was no like exciting revelations. There weren't any fun new facts about life to share because I just was completely lost for the first time in my life. I just didn't know how to make my life better and I didn't know, I was just having a pretty rubbish time all round, and that was mostly because everything was new. I was learning everything one bit at a time. I was struggling with friendships at university. I was struggling with my classes at university. I was struggling with my living situation. And all of the things I'd been thinking about before, like self-expression and fashion and beauty and TV shows and books and all this stuff that I'm passionate about, I kind of had to put these passions to one side. Like, I was still engaging in them, but I wasn't really focusing on that in myself because there was just so much other stuff that I wasn't particularly excited about, but I had to deal with in a more immediate sense. And I didn't want this video to be about why I stopped making YouTube videos again, but that was a big factor because I didn't have, it's like that hierarchy of needs thing, right? I was stuck at the lower bits of the hierarchy. Wait, I don't remember how that works, but I was stuck on the more important things and I couldn't get through to like the fun stuff. I'm inadvertently speaking about this as if it's over, as if I know what I'm doing again now and so I can like move on with my life, but no, that's not the truth. I still don't know what I'm doing. In fact, I'm not that much further along than I was like 2 years ago when at the start of uni. I'm now in my third year. I'm graduating soonish. I'm so excited. But yeah, I still don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like, I've managed to get better at managing my life. But there's still so many things in my life that I'm not happy with, and I kind of have to live day to day and just try and make sure that every day is the best I can make it in the moment. That's kind of what I want this video to be about. I've written down some things of like how I've been trying to improve my life, and how I've been kind of getting through this messy world. When you're an adult, or maybe just life for me, it kind of feels like a fog. Like, there's fog in front of me, there's fog behind me, I can barely see my hand in front of my face, and I've just got to keep walking with the hopes that I'll run into something that won't be harmful to me will be a good thing. I don't know, this is a weird analogy. It is okay to not know what the hell you're doing, but you need to try and figure out how to make this moment the best moment it can possibly be. So here are the things that I do to make life just a little bit more livable. Good. The first one is escapism, which has always been a really important part of life for me. Recently, I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks, which have been really helpful, especially because sometimes I have to do stressful things like go to university and it often really helps for me to listen to an audiobook on the journey, so I'm not stressing about it the whole way there, and so I can like just kind of step away from the worries that won't be actually helpful to think about, because one of the problems I have is that my mind is always racing and I tend to overthink things a lot, which can be a positive trait, by the way, but sometimes it's not helpful, and in times like that I like to listen to audiobooks or podcasts. My favourite podcast is Girls Gone Canon, which is a podcast about the Game of Thrones books, the Song of Ice and Fire books, and recently they've started doing stuff on His Dark Materials, which is very exciting because the TV show is coming out, which has also been great escapism for me. I've basically just been like drowning in His Dark Materials content recently because I've been listening to the audiobooks of the Book of Dust series that started coming out, and also I've been watching a TV show and I've been listening to a podcast about it, so it's been a great time. My demon would be a hedgehog, by the way, if you wanted to know. But yeah, escapism, things like that, TV shows. I've always got a TV show on the go. Another thing is making little steps to try and fix the big problems, because when you see like a big problem in your life that's so intrinsic that like it feels inescapable, that can be immensely stressful, and like that's totally reasonable, but most of the time there isn't just like one big easy way to fix it all, and that's why it's so stressful. So I've been trying to recently in my life think, is there something I can do today or this week that can be a step in the right direction to fixing this issue. For example, I don't have a lot of friends at university, so recently I've been trying to I've joined a society, and I've been trying to talk to people in my seminars, and just those little things to at least make me feel a little bit better about that problem, even if it doesn't fix it immediately. It makes me feel like I'm doing something towards it. Acknowledging when I can't do something and accepting that. I've always been the kind of person who wants to kind of push, get things done, be productive, be the best version of myself, get out there and meet people and do things and make memories, and oh my gosh, it's just not possible for me anymore. I have a problem, which means that I'm tired all the time, probably chronic fatigue syndrome, still haven't got an official diagnosis, but we'll see. And it just means that some days I have just zero energy and I cannot do the things I want to do, and it's so frustrating because I just want to get that uni work done so I don't have to stress about it. I want to go out and meet people. I want to, walk down the street to the shop, but I can't. Sometimes I just can't do that. And accepting that is so important, because we're often taught to have that mindset that you should always be pushing for the best. You should always be pushing yourself to be the best, basically. And that's just not always possible. And sometimes you have to accept that you have to rest and you have to give yourself time. And that I'm still working on that. That's been years in the making. I think I talked about this in a video I made in about 2017 or 2016. So I've been taking up peaceful and yet thoughtful hobbies, things that get my mind whirring. I'm often left with a lot of empty time when I'm really tired and so I can't do anything actually like that interesting in that moment. I have to find something to fill that time basically, because otherwise I get really bored, and that still happens sometimes anyway. But I've been taking up some hobbies. I do knitting, I do crocheting, I crochet little hedgehogs. Wait, no, I knit little hedgehogs for my friends and family, which is fun. And I've recently taken up sewing. That's Betsy in the background. You can't really see her properly, but she's my new dress form, which is very exciting. And these are things that I can do where I just kind of put the TV on, put a podcast on, and then just kind of lose myself in an activity, and it doesn't give me anxiety like this does sometimes, which is why I've kind of replaced this with that. But that's okay, I can do both, just at a different rate. It gives me kind of that feeling of being productive without the pressure to be productive. And the final big thing I've been trying to do is something I actually learnt from a what would you call it? It was like a stress control course, which was to step back and pull back the blinkers. Especially when I'm overthinking, I tend to focus in on one aspect of something, and I don't look at the big picture or consider other alternatives. For example, let's say that I sent someone a message and they didn't respond. My brain might go, oh, that's because they don't like me. But what I've been learning to do recently is like, take a deep breath, take a step back, pull back the blinkers and think, wait a second, they might just be busy. They might not have Facebook Messenger downloaded on their phone. Like, there's so many options, and just being like aware of that is so helpful. So yeah, those are all the things that I've been trying to do to make life more livable in a world that is so confusing and so stressful, but completely manageable. You just have to have the right perspective, I guess. And there are always going to be moments where it doesn't feel manageable at all, but just gotta have a good cry, and afterwards it'll probably look a lot brighter. So I guess those are sort of like my New Year's resolutions, but not really, because I've already started doing them and they're just kind of things that I've been trying to implement in my life. So I hope this has been in some way helpful to you. I hope at least it's some feeling of solidarity that's been created by this video. I want to be able to give you something helpful because I know that that's what I need, especially from things like YouTube. I don't have that much to give at the moment, which is why I've not been making lots of videos. But when I do have some little nuggets of slightly messy wisdom to give to you, I'll try my best to share them. I hope you're having a good day, and I'll see you at some point. Bye!